Hello everybody. If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 659, Wires, Whistles and Woes. Upper beginner. Steve, the manager of Gadget Paradise, sighed. The shop was a symphony of flashing lights and beeping noises, most of which came from Martin, trying to demonstrate a self-stirring mug. "Martin," Steve called, adjusting his glasses, "are you sure that mug is a high-priority demonstration?" Martin, a lanky man with an enthusiastic but often misplaced energy, beamed. "But Steve, imagine the convenience. No more tired wrist from your morning tea." Chris, the other salesman, leaned over a display of virtual reality headsets, a smirk playing on his lips. "I think Steve's wrists are fine, Martin. He mostly just sips lukewarm coffee while looking stressed." Steve glared at Chris. "My coffee is perfectly brewed, thank you, and my stress levels are directly proportional to the number of self-stirring mugs you two managed to sell." Just then, a customer, Mrs. Higgins, approached. She clutched a crumpled piece of paper. "Hello," she said, her voice a little shaky. "My grandson told me I need a dingle-dongle for my internet." Martin, ever eager, jumped forward. "A dingle-dongle, you say? We have many excellent dingle-dongles. Is it for connecting to the World Wide Web?" Mrs. Higgins looked bewildered. "I just want to see pictures of my cat on my computer." Chris, sensing an opportunity to be genuinely helpful and perhaps show Martin up, stepped in. "Right, Mrs. Higgins, it sounds like you need a Wi-Fi dongle. It helps your computer connect wirelessly to the internet. We have several models." He showed her a small USB device. Martin, not to be outdone, picked up a giant flashing router. "Or for maximum dingle-dongle power, you could try this. It'll make your cat photos zoom across the internet." Mrs. Higgins gasped. "Good heavens, no. My cat gets frightened by loud noises, and that looks like a spaceship." Steve, who had been observing the scene with a mix of exasperation and amusement, finally intervened. "Martin, perhaps the smaller dingle-dongle is more appropriate for Mrs. Higgins's needs." He winked at Chris, and Chris, no more jokes about my stress coffee. Later that afternoon, after Mrs. Higgins happily left with her modest Wi-Fi dongle, Steve called his team together. "Right," he began. "Team meeting. Subject, efficiency." Martin immediately raised his hand. "I have a new idea for efficiency. We could put wheels on the checkout counter. Then when a customer buys something, we can wheel the counter directly to their car." Chris snorted with laughter. "And what if they park on the roof? Martin, do we need a crane too?" Steve pinched the bridge of his nose. "No wheels on the checkout, Martin. How about we focus on simpler efficiencies like knowing the difference between a Wi-Fi dongle and a spaceship?" He picked up a new gadget. Now this is a universal remote control. It can control your TV, your sound system, and even your smart lights. Martin's eyes lit up. "Can it control the self-stirring mug?" Steve sighed, a long, drawn-out sound that perfectly encapsulated the daily life at Gadget Paradise. "No, Martin, it cannot control the self-stirring mug. But perhaps, with enough practice, it can help us efficiently run this shop without any more dingle-dongle misunderstandings." Chris grinned. "So less dingle-dongle and more ding-ding-ding of the till." Steve almost smiled. "Exactly, Chris. Exactly." He knew it was a losing battle, but at least it was never boring. Vocabulary notes. A symphony of. This phrase is used to describe a mixture of sounds. In the story, a symphony of flashing lights and beeping noises means there were many different lights and sounds happening at the same time. You could also say a symphony of barking dogs and singing birds to describe the sounds you hear on a walk in the park. Similar words: a chorus of, a medley of, a cacophony of. This word means a harsh, unpleasant mixture of sounds. Misplaced. This adjective is used to describe something that is in the wrong place or is not appropriate for a particular situation. In the story, Martin's energy is described as misplaced, meaning his enthusiasm wasn't being used in the most helpful way. Example: Martin, a lanky man with an enthusiastic but often misplaced energy, beamed. Similar words: inappropriate, ill-timed, out of place. Bewildered. This adjective describes someone who is confused or puzzled. In the story, Mrs. Higgins is bewildered by Martin's talk about dingle-dongles. Example: Mrs. Higgins looked bewildered. Similar words: confused, perplexed, baffled. Exasperation. This noun describes a feeling of intense annoyance or frustration. Steve feels exasperation because of his salesman's humorous but unhelpful actions. Example: Steve, who had been observing the scene with a mix of exasperation and amusement, finally intervened. Similar words: frustration, irritation, annoyance. Encapsulated. This verb is used to describe something that expresses the essential features of something else. In the story, Steve's sigh perfectly encapsulated the daily life at Gadget Paradise, meaning his sigh summed up the feeling of working there. Example: Steve sighed, a long, drawn-out sound that perfectly encapsulated the daily life at Gadget Paradise. Similar words: summarized, embodied, summed up. Story written by Steve UK and Gemini AI. Image created by AI Magic X AI. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Welcome, everyone, to The Deep Dive. Today we've got a really interesting piece we're digging into. It's a short story, quite funny actually, called Wires, Whistles, and Woes.
Right, and it's all set in this tech shop, Gadget Paradise. Sounds, well, chaotic.
Exactly. Think flashing lights, beeping sounds, bit of a sensory overload.
And our goal here really isn't just to, have a chuckle, but to pull out some actual lessons.
Well, a communication, yeah.
And efficiency.
And, well, managing people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially those who've got tons of enthusiasm, but maybe not so much focus.
Mm-hmm. If you've ever been baffled by tech speak or managed a team where, let's say, the energy didn't quite match the results, this should resonate.
Definitely. The scene is set perfectly right away. That symphony of flashing lights and beeping noises you mentioned, it pulls you right in.
And smack in the middle of it all is Martin.
Ah, Martin. He's demonstrating the star product, a self-stirring mug.
Which tells you pretty much everything you need to know, doesn't it? That mug isn't just a gadget. It's kind of a symbol for the whole shop's, let's say, slightly skewed priorities.
Totally. And the people trying to run this circus. You've got Steve, the manager, looks like he's constantly stressed out.
Right. And then there's Chris, the other colleague. He seems a bit sharper, maybe a bit witty, often kind of playing off Martin.
Yeah, that dynamic, that tension between, let's call it competence and chaos. That's what drives the story.
And things really kick off when the first customer shows up. Mrs. Higgins. This leads us straight into what the story calls the dingle-dongle dilemma.
Okay, Mrs. Higgins.
Yeah.
She comes up to the counter and she needs, well, she calls it a dingle-dongle.
Dingle-dongle, okay.
For her internet.
Yeah.
And the specific reason. So I can see pictures of my cat on my computer.
Oh, bless her. That's like the classic customer request, isn't it? Using half-remembered words they picked up somewhere.
Exactly. And the story uses a key word to describe her right then. It says she's Bewildered.
Bewildered, yeah. I mean, we know that means confused, puzzled.
Mm-hmm.
But why use that specific word? What makes it so, significant in a tech shop?
Well, I think it's more than just being confused. Bewildered suggests she's completely lost, like the communication is totally broken down.
Right. It's like the tech jargon has built a wall.
Exactly. And when a customer feels bewildered, they kind of shut down, don't they? They're not thinking about buying anymore. They just want to get away. You make them feel silly, you've lost them.
Which is the perfect moment for Martin to step in and make things worse.
Naturally. He hears dingle-dongle, and his brain goes straight to complexity overload.
Maximum dingle-dongle power.
Maximum. He starts talking about this huge, flashy router. Mrs. Higgins even says it looks like a spaceship.
A spaceship. For cat pictures, it's just... Wow. That's Martin all over, isn't it? All enthusiasm, but completely missing the point. He sees the flashiest thing, not the actual need.
But then Chris steps in. The contrast is pretty stark.
Yeah, Chris actually gets it. He understands, efficiency and what the customer needs.
He just says, what, it's a Wi-Fi dongle.
Mm-hmm. Like a simple little USB stick. Connects you wirelessly. Problem solved. No NASA required.
It's concise. It fits the need. It works.
But Steve, the manager, still has to get involved. He has to actually come over and basically approve the simple, correct answer.
Which says a lot, doesn't it? That management's main job in this place seems to be just translating, cutting through the jargon and the misplaced enthusiasm of the staff.
It's like management by damage control, simplifying things because the team keeps complicating them.
Yeah, necessary simplification.
And that leads us nicely into the team dynamics, the stress on Steve. The story uses some great vocabulary here, too.
Oh, Steve. You can almost feel his pain. The story says his stress levels are directly proportional to the number of self-stirring mugs sold.
Ah, that's brilliant. His stress goes up with the sales of the most useless item. It shows how distracted he is, how worn down by the mugs.
And when he's watching Martin try to sell the spaceship router and Chris having to rescue the situation, the story says he watches with a mix of amusement and exasperation.
Exasperation. Okay, why that word? Why not just say annoyance or frustration?
Well, exasperation feels deeper, doesn't it? It's like, it's the feeling you get when you've explained something a dozen times and it still isn't sinking in.
Ah, okay, so it implies this isn't the first time, that Martin's chaos is kind of ongoing.
Exactly. It suggests it's systemic. It's that specific kind of burnout you get, managing people who try hard, but their effort just goes everywhere, except where it's needed.
Speaking of effort going everywhere, let's zoom in on Martin again. He's described as having enthusiastic but often misplaced energy.
Misplaced. That's a key word, I think, especially in a business context.
Why misplaced?
Because it suggests the energy itself isn't bad. Enthusiasm is good, but it's being pointed in the wrong direction. It's allocated poorly.
So it's an opportunity cost problem. He's spending all this energy on the spaceship router, the self-stirring mug.
When he could be focusing that same energy on things that actually help, like selling those simple Wi-Fi dongles efficiently, things that actually make money.
Right. So his good intentions actually end up being a drag on the whole place. Distraction.
Oh, a costly one, probably. And this whole atmosphere, this well-meaning mess, it gets summed up perfectly later when Steve just, sighs.
Ah, yes, the sigh. The story says it was a long, drawn-out sound that perfectly encapsulated the daily life at Gadget Paradise.
Encapsulated. That's such a good verb there.
It means, summarized or captured the essence of something.
Exactly. That one sound, the sigh, carries all the weight of the shop's chaos. The flashing lights, the beeping, Martin's ideas, Steve's frustration, the sheer absurdity of it all.
One sigh tells the whole story of Steve's battle against the self-stirring mug.
Which brings us to the next bit. Steve actually tries to fix things. He calls a meeting about efficiency.
Oh, boy. After the dingle-dongle incident, you can see why he'd want to. He's trying to impose some order.
But guess who misunderstands the assignment immediately?
Let me guess.
Martin. Bingo. Martin's big idea for efficiency. Put wheels on the checkout counter.
Wheels? Why?
So they can roll the whole cash register out to the customer's car.
Okay, right. That's certainly an idea.
It's classic Martin, isn't it? Adding complexity, thinking it's efficiency. How would that even work? Wires, security. It's madness.
It shows he doesn't fundamentally grasp what efficiency is. It's about making things simpler, removing steps, reducing friction, not adding wheels and extension cords.
Okay, but let me just push back a tiny bit here. Isn't some wild thinking, even if it's, misplaced, sometimes needed for new ideas? Maybe wheels are silly, but is Steve just trying to shut down all creativity to stop the chaos?
That's a fair point, and it's always a tricky balance for a manager, but I think the story suggests Steve is just trying to get the basics right first. Like, let's walk before we try to invent wheeled checkout counters.
Okay, fair enough. So Steve tries to get back to basics. He introduces a genuinely practical gadget.
Yes, the universal remote control. Something actually designed for efficiency. One remote for the TV, the sound system, the smart lights.
That makes sense. Streamlining. Reducing the number of things you need. That is efficiency. It reduces the existing complexity.
Exactly. It's the perfect counterexample to Martin's idea.
But even as Steve is holding up this symbol of streamlined efficiency, what's Martin's first question?
Oh no, don't tell me.
Can it control the self-stirring mug?
Of course! Of course it is! Back to the mug.
It just snaps right back to the trivial distraction.
Yeah.
He completely ignores the potential to make the whole home system simpler, just to focus on the one useless gadget. It really hammers home the theme of, chaotic priorities.
Yeah, the low-value, shiny object always wins.
And if you think back to that opening description, that symphony of flashing lights and beeping noises, it really feels like Martin's the one conducting the wrong parts. A symphony should be harmonious, orchestrated, but here is just noise.
Yeah, the story uses symphony almost ironically. It's just a chaotic mix. Steve's trying to lead a proper orchestra, maybe get a nice tune going.
And Martin's just blasting away on a kazoo, the self-stirring mug drowning everything else out. It's that constant background noise of misplaced effort.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together. What are the main takeaways for you listening to this?
Well, despite being funny, the story has some pretty solid points about management and communication, right?
Definitely. We saw the huge difference between clear, simple communication, like Chris explaining the Wi-Fi dongle, and just confusing jargon that leaves the customer feeling bewildered, like Martin's spaceship router talk.
Yeah, and the cost of that misplaced energy.
Yeah.
Martin's enthusiasm is great, but it costs the business time and maybe sales because it's not focused. You see that in Steve's exasperation.
That word again, it really hits home. And the whole efficiency thing.
Right. Real efficiency is about simplifying, removing friction, not adding crazy complications like wheeled counters.
And maybe the biggest threat to getting things done efficiently is often that low-value distraction. The thing that seems interesting or easy but pulls focus from what really matters.
Everyone has their own self-stirring mug, I suppose. The thing that distracts from the universal remote, the tool that could actually streamline things.
And the story does end with Steve sort of figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
He simplifies the goal down to the basics.
Yeah. Less dingle-dongle, more ding-ding-ding of the till. Clarity. Focus on the outcome.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to chew on after this deep dive.
Okay, let's hear it.
In your own work, or even just your daily life, what's your self-stirring mug? What's that shiny, low-value distraction, that bit of unnecessary complexity that's maybe draining your energy?
What's keeping you from focusing on the simple, effective solutions, your personal universal remote that would actually boost your output, get you to that ding-ding-ding?
So maybe take a moment, identify your own dingle-dongles. Are you focusing on the mug, or are you looking for the universal remote?
Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
See you next time.